Yeah, me now. Yo again. Ndakati mageta agenda. Vamwe bakafane kundiseka. Majina sisi hakujenda. Chapresa. Vura hakuna, magets hakuna, mabini kanzuru baichatakura, mabus hakuna, malifts hakuna, makwani ora 50 pakutakura, magraph hakuna, mashets hakuna, magets takutanga kuzotakura, vura hakuna, mapublic toilet hakuna, mastorage ongoramba atituku.
Because the constitution is clear that water is a right. So if our service providers, in particular the city of Harare, can also understand that water is a right, they will take this seriously in terms of service provision. But one of the reasons why the water situation has been getting worse in Harare, it also has to do with the issues of accountability, where some of the water revenue is not really accounted for. And as also raised in this meeting, you notice that there were issues of the water loan that was taken from China. But when that loan was taken, City of Harare was providing like 500 megaliters of water per day. But now that level is dwindled to around 200 megaliters per day. So you will see that in terms of addressing the water challenges, that water loan did not do anything. And it was 144 million, 72 has been accounted for. And even as its citizens, we are not really sure what happened to the other 72. So the issue of accountability in terms of finance management and in managing the resources of water for upgrading the water infrastructure, this is one of the major challenges in terms of the water crisis. So going forward in addressing this issue, this is where we were also engaging the legislators to say they need to come in and play their oversight role. They need to play the oversight role effectively, and they also need to contribute to policy reform. And in terms of the water loans, the role of the legislators now come in where they also need to seek accountability from the responsible ministry, in particular like the Ministry of Finance, because they were the ones that were responsible in terms of getting the water loan. So they need to account what happened to the money and what do we do going forward to ensure that there are no financial leakages.
So safe to say the burden of repaying that loan lies with the residents? It
lies with the residents, because apart from paying for water rates, that money also needs to be paid back. And since we are the consumers, the purported consumers of the water, the burden for paying those debts lies on residents. But the unfortunate thing is that the burden lies with us in terms of paying. But when these loans negotiations for the loans to come in, we are not involved. We are not consulted to say, oh, okay, we are getting a loan for 144 million. Can we get it? And how are we going to pay it? We are not involved. Crisis has been there for years now, and it has been worsening as the time goes by. So it wouldn't be really true to blame the water situation on the cyclone or even on the purchase of chemicals alone. It is a whole bunch of factors that are contributing to the water crisis in Harare. And there is need for all stakeholders involved, government included, the parliament and the local authority itself, to come up with collective actions to address this issue.
Okay, thank you for speaking to me at such short notice. Maybe as we conclude, is there anything you may want to add?
Yeah, maybe what I would want to add is that this crisis is now bigger than City of Harare. The government needs to take an active role in terms of addressing the water challenges in Harare. And there is also need for citizen participation, engage citizens on the issues of these loans. We need to know what are the gaps. And there is also need to put in place strong finance management mechanisms to ensure that both Ministry of Finance and the local authority comply with the Public Finance Management Act to ensure that financial loopholes and financial leakages are stopped within the City of Harare.
In terms of causes, there are quite a wide range of causes. The first is that we had a drought, and which ultimately mean that we have had dwindling water levels in the dam. So the amount of water available for abstraction by the local authority have been reduced. So the first cause is a climate change and variability issue. Then the second issue is that like we've said, we have had this crisis for a long time. Failure to meet demand. Currently, they are producing around 350 megaliters per day against a daily demand of 800 megaliters. And out of that 350 that is being produced, 35%, more than 35% is lost through leakages. So what it means is that close to half of what is being produced is being lost. And with the demand that I've talked about, there's a huge gap. Then beyond that, even the capacity of the water treatment plants to meet demand, because during this season, when it is hot, demand moves from 800 megaliters per day to 1,200 megaliters per day. And we have had sprouting settlements around Harare. Yochitungwiza has been growing. We have had Caledonia recently. Rua is growing. Epworth is growing. Norton is growing. And all these suburbs require water that is provided by the city of Harare. So that has been the cause. And we didn't have a meaningful fiscal commitment to water service delivery. Coming through a meaningful budget allocation, both at national level and even at municipality level. Harare, for the first time this time, they've managed to increase the budget to about 10.98. But if you look at the surrounding local authorities, their budget on water service delivery is very weak. So all those issues have contributed to the crisis of water service delivery. And of course, accountability questions. We've had the China loan, how it was expended. There are still questions on accountability. And to the extent that only half of the amount was disbursed from China. And even if you look at the Auditor General's reports, they are not pleasing when it comes to administration of funds within local authorities. So all those issues have contributed greatly to the crisis of water service delivery.
Okay, coming back to the issue of drought, couldn't we have been better prepared as a city?
Yeah, the issue of climate change is an international issue. The expectation is that the local authority should come up with resilience and mitigation strategies. Issues related to wetlands preservation, because wetlands will act like banks. They store water during the dry season, they recharge streams, and ultimately feed into the lakes. And you will not find a situation of inadequacy of raw water if you have got that strategy. So preparedness was supposed to be there. But unfortunately, the challenge in our nation is that we have got always a reactive approach. We react to crises, we react to shortages. We don't plan. That's the challenge that we have in Zimbabwe. It's a national crisis. Water service delivery is a national crisis. That's why you see the government recently pronounced food insecurity a national disaster. And it's not by coincidence that the right to food and the right to water are contained in the same section in the Constitution, which is Section 77. It's a national crisis emanating from changing climatic patterns, like I've said. And also, supply that is not meeting demand for some years up to now, and all those issues that are contributing. So it's a national crisis, and it goes beyond the confines of the local authority in trying to come up with the solutions to the crisis. Every local authority, we look at recently, City of Harare have had water rationing. Bulawayo has had the same. Gweru have had the same. Masvingo have had the same. Mutare have had the same. Kariba have had the same. Chinoi have had the same. So majority of local authorities have embarked on water rationing. It's an expression that this is a national crisis when it comes to water delivery. And we've had, even if you look at the trends on cholera and typhoid outbreak, they are not confined to Harare. We've had the same in Buera, we've had the same in Mount Darwin, we've had the same in Gweru, we've had the same in Bulawayo, we've had the same in almost every part of the nation, with the rural areas also included. So it shows that when typhoid is hitting Mberengwa, when cholera is hitting Mberengwa, it's a national crisis. So water service delivery is not only confined to, the challenges, they are not confined to Harare as a city. When someone says, yes, we've got willingness to address the crisis, you look at the budget. What has been committed this year to water service delivery? You don't look at the rhetoric, what is being said. You look at what has been committed to water service delivery. If you look at the budget that was delivered by the Minister of Finance Honorable Mthuli Ncube, it's not pleasing when it comes to water and sanitation. So the willingness, I doubt very much that there is willingness. And even if you look at the recent crisis that we had in Manicaland through this typhoid, Idai in Chipinge and Ichmanman, all the water sources have been contaminated. But the interventions that are being done are actually being done by citizens. And you wouldn't say under such circumstances there is political will. We expect that where there is will, we look at policy, we look at budgetary commitment. Those components constitute what we think as citizens is an expression of political will.
Okay, and then lastly, is there anything you may want to add as we conclude this interview?
I think the first issue is that government should declare access to water a national disaster. They are failing to contain the crisis, and it would be good for citizens because you will have all hands on the deck, international players coming on board to also help when it comes to access to water. So they have to declare it a national disaster, just like what they've done with food security. And second, we expect that the legal framework governing issues related to the right to water have to be synchronized with the Constitution of Zimbabwe, so that we don't have policy inconsistency, we don't have disjointed legal framework when it comes to access to water. So that is very fundamental and very important. And the voice of citizens, they have to come up. Rights are demanded. They are not given in a silver platter. So we expect that resident associations, civil society organizations should live to the expectations of those that they represent. They should push the government to honor their obligations, to respect the right, to protect the right, and to fulfill the right.